Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to integrate HDevelop code into your C# project using the Library Project Export. In this video, I'll mainly highlight the differences compared to the corresponding C++ tutorial. If you haven't already, we recommend watching that tutorial first to learn more about features like HDevEngine. We start with the same HDevelop program, reading this image. Again, this procedure does the actual machine vision. It segments the electrical contacts. Our goal is to integrate this procedure into a Visual Studio solution. At the end of the program, there is some visualization for HDevelop. In the Library Project Export dialog, we now choose C# as the target language. To better understand what is happening later on, we append PN to the project name and NS to the namespace. Then we click Export. Let's have a quick look at the generated files. As with C++, we get a CMake file that can be used to, for example, create a Visual Studio solution. Additionally, the export once again copied the used HDevelop program. Lastly, in source, we find a single C# file which contains wrapper functions with all the required HDevEngine API code. Let's integrate this into our application. Here I prepared an empty C# program. Now, to be able to use Halcon code and HDevEngine, we need to add references to halcon.net and HDevEngine. Therefore, we right-click on References in the Solution Explorer and choose Add Reference. Here, the DLLs are available from previous projects. To locate them for the first time, click Browse, navigate to %halconroot% bin .NET 35, and add the halcon.net DLL and the HDevEngine.net DLL. Now let's write some Halcon code. First, we declare two variables, the input image and the resulting region. Then, we read the same image we read in HDevelop a moment ago. Next, we add the C# wrapper code we generated with HDevelop. Then we can use the code as follows. First, the namespace we chose, then the project name, and then the functionality. As with C++, it's necessary to define the resource path, the location of the HDevelop script. Relative to the binary, it's 3 levels up. To simplify this path, you can copy the HDevelop script to the bin directory. This could be done automatically while building the project if you prefer. Then we can call the procedure we saw previously in HDevelop. And that's all the code we need. Now we can add a breakpoint and run the application. In the Halcon variable inspect, we can see the variables, the image we read, and the region as a result of the procedure call. As we have seen in the C++ tutorial, you could now simply edit the HDevelop procedure, and as long as the signature does not change, you don't need to recompile the application. This concludes this short introduction. You should now be able to use the HDevelop Library Project Export to integrate Halcon code into your C# application. Thank you for watching.